Okay, welcome to the YNAB How to Withdraw and Add Funds tutorial video. I put this together just to show you how to properly assign your withdrawals and also your deposits that'll be coming in and out of your checking account. Now, I want you to be mindful that this process, it's only going to work if you have your checking account linked to YNAB. So if you haven't done that already, I'm definitely asking you to get that step completed ASAP. Now, give me 1 second as I log into YNAB. Okay, so we know as the days pass by and as the weeks just move forward, you'll be spending money. And you'll be spending money on your bills, on food, entertainment, on clothing, right? The list is going to go on and on. But as you continually spend your money, it's going to be equally as important that you consistently track your money, track the outflow. Because if you don't track your spending, then your budget will eventually get off track, and that's not what we want. And so the very first step in the process of tracking your withdrawals is by going to the left of the screen where you have your checking account linked. And you can see my screen says checking account along with the current available balance in the checking account. I want you to click the checking account button. Now, when you come into this screen, always move your eye towards the button that says bank import, which if your checking account is linked, YNAB will import transactions once they clear from your checking account. That's important. Now, normally there would be a number that would be in parentheses next to the bank import button, just to let you know how many transactions that need to be categorized. But I selected the bank import button before recording the video, and so it's not going to show up right now. But I want you to pay attention to something. I have one pending transaction, which is an income deposit, which is indicated by the inflow section. Now that needs to be cleared, and that also needs to be categorized inside of YNAB. And so we'll walk through how to manage income deposits towards the very end of the video so you can see that in real time. I also have 4 transactions that need approval, which is indicated by the I icon. And so YNAB needs me then to confirm that the transaction took place, and you'll always see the approval icon when there's been a lapse of time between when the transaction was imported in YNAB and when you categorize the transaction to a specific budget line item. Okay. And then lastly, there's the matching link icon, which indicates YNAB has seen this transaction before. And so if you manually enter a transaction and it later imports from your bank, YNAB will automatically match the 2 entries for you. And then all you have to do is click the matching icon to then approve or reject the match. And so let's just take a moment to categorize some withdrawals inside of YNAB so you can see the process in real time. So just so it makes sense. So let's tackle the approval transactions first. So I'm going to start with Netflix. And first I'm going to go to the budget page so you can see the Netflix line item. So let me find my subscription category. Okay, so as you can see, there's $15.49 available in my Netflix category line item. So now I'm going to withdraw the transaction by going back to the checking account screen and selecting the Netflix pending transaction. And now be mindful, when you start to make consistent withdrawals from reoccurring expenses, YNAB will then begin to just pick up on this, and it'll automatically select the category the withdrawal should come out from. And so as you can see on my budget layout, the Netflix category has already been selected for me. I did not have to do anything. Now, I like to write in a memo just to clarify what the expense is. So I'll put Netflix, and then my outflow is set to $15.49, which is the monthly cost. And then I'll select Enter Now button. And then now if I go back to the budget screen and I scroll down to my subscription category group, you can see the available balance is $15.49, has now been taken out to zero. So once I get paid again, I'll start this process completely over. Okay. Now let's tackle the remaining 3 approval transactions. So let's go back to the checking account screen. And there's 3 transactions marked in yellow that read, "This needs a category." Now, YNAB wasn't able to automatically tell what category this transaction should be pulled from, and so we must manually pull the transaction ourselves. And now the first payment of $6.99 is an Apple charge made by my wife. And so for this transaction, I'm going to pull it from my wife's personal allowance. And so we'll select the "This Needs a Category" button and scroll down to the Fund Money category. And then we'll select Jan's personal allowance, which currently has $47.51 available. And then I'm going to make a memo and call it Apple Store Fee, and then select the Approve button. And then now when I go back to view Jan's personal allowance, you'll see how the available balance decreased. So now it's set to $40.52 since we categorized the $6.99 payment. The last thing I want to show you in regards to withdrawals in YNAB is moving money around just to different categories. And so for this transaction of $89.99, that's from a purchase I made on the Apple App Store. And since YNAB didn't recognize the charge, I need to assign the category for the transaction. Now, since the transaction was a personal one made by myself, I plan to take it from my personal allowance also. So let's go back to the budget screen quickly. Scroll down to Fund Money and find my Corbin's personal allowance, which has $19.28 available. So right now I'm $70.71 short of being able to cover the expense of $89.99. So in order to clear this transaction and make sure my YNAB spending plan is up to date and also in sync with my checking account, I need to pull money from a different category to cover the difference. So I'm going to move $50 from my cat's veterinary line item into my personal allowance line item. So let's do that right now. So we'll select the vet line item, then select the green box that has $340 available. And then in the line item where it says move, we'll input $50. And then below where it says to, we'll select Corbin's personal allowance. And so now I have $290 in the vet line item and $69.28 in my personal allowance. But I'm still $20.71 short. And so I'm going to pull $20.71 from our date night fund. So in the move section, let's input $20.71 and move that to my personal allowance. And so now you can see I have $89.99 available and can now successfully withdraw the transaction. So let's go back to the checking account screen, select the Needs a Category button, and then scroll down to the Fund Money category group, and then select Corbin's personal allowance. Now for the memo, I'll write Apple Store, And then just double check the $89.99 is in the outflow section, which it is. And then we'll select the approve button. And now you can see when I go to the budget page and find my personal allowance category, the available balance is at 0. And so technically, until I get paid again, or unless I decide to move money around, I'm done spending money on personal items for myself until I get another deposit in my checking account. So I really hope this makes sense. Okay, so let's shift gears and briefly talk about assigning deposits into your YNAB account. So let's assume today is your payday and a direct deposit has entered into your checking account. Now, I first want you to notice the top gray button that says $0 all money assigned. So even though a deposit has hit your checking account today and it imported into YNAB, we still need to categorize the deposit before we can actually assign money to your various budget line items. So for your first step is to select the checking account button. So let's do that. Then your next step is to find your paycheck deposit, which you'll always find deposits underneath the inflow section. And you can see it says $2,091.81. Then to the left, it says uncategorized. I want you to select the uncategorized button. And then where it says inflow ready to assign, select that button. Now, whenever you are clearing a transaction deposit in YNAB, always select the inflow ready to assign selection, okay? Now move to the right of the screen and then press enter now. And then lastly, select the cleared icon, which means the transaction has posted to your bank account. Now go back to the budget screen and you can see at the very top, the section that has, or the section that was once gray is now green. And it has $2,091.81 ready for you to assign to your categories. Now, the last thing to note about assigning money is when you're ready to allocate the cash flow to your designated categories, you want to always allocate your money in the assigned row. So being that there's $2,091.81 available, maybe you give $200 to groceries and $209 to tithe, right? And then so on. And now one last thing to note, within the given month, you'll be assigning multiple paychecks to your categories. And so let me show you something. Let me take my date night category, for example. There's currently $55 in the assigned selection. But since a deposit entered into my account today, let's say I plan on adding more money to that specific category group. And so let's say I want to add an additional $39 to the date night fund. We have to select the fund, then select the calculator symbol. And then since we are adding money, we want to select the plus symbol. And then we'll type in $39. And you'll see how the $55 in the available screen increases to $94. Now, lastly, with YNAB, you can only allocate money you currently have available. You cannot, I repeat, you cannot budget money you do not have. You can't budget a bonus check that you are expecting to receive, let's say, next week. You can only budget money you currently have available in your possession today. So I hope this makes sense. If you have any further questions or are stuck anywhere in this process, in this platform, definitely schedule time on my check-in calendar so we can meet via Google Meet and talk your questions through so that this process can make sense. You got this. Good luck.